Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Maurice back again, and Fantasy Flight just keep dumping content on the top of our heads, man. I don't know that I'm complaining too much. I'm still kind of behind on all of the all of the content, but I'm working through it. But this may come to a surprise to a lot of people. I've been seeing some chitter chatter here and there about there potentially being an Xmen expansion, which was shocking at the time that I heard as the rumors were coming out. But now that it's here, there's been some questions that have been spawning up. So normally, I would have loved to just go through all of these different cards that are presented here, because it's cool. Because if you're not familiar with Marvel Champions and how they release their content, they either do singular or singular heroes or villains, and then they'll have what they call a big box expansion, where they will have 2 heroes and then some conglomeration of 5 villains that normally fit the same theme. So with them doing X-Men, this is huge. We're starting off, as you can see here, with Shadowcat and Colossus. So these are 2 relatively known X-Men. I think Colossus is definitely more well known than Shadowcat. But if you watch the movies back in the early to mid 2000s, then you would recognize these characters definitely. Well, I guess the start of that X-Men adventure. But yeah, so they'll release those 2 heroes and then have an assortment of villains. They're going to start this one off with Shadowcat and Colossus, and then they have a mixture of different villains. We had a Sentinels here. You have Sabretooth that's here. You have Master Mold. Here goes some villains that you may recognize with Blob, Pyro, and Toad. You may know Avalanche from, I believe it's Quicksilver's Nemesis set. Excuse me. So they've got some decently known heroes and villains that they're starting this off with. I think if anybody is playing Marvel Champions right now, they're pretty stoked with the fact that X-Men is even being mentioned, right? But to go to the point of my video, and of course Magneto, always a staple in the villainry that goes on in the X-Men universe. You got Polaris and Professor X here. They go into some, Wolverine. I'm pretty sure he's going to be one of the villains. One of the heroes, excuse me. And then they got this silhouette of the next 2 heroes that's going to be released. Obviously, Cyclops, probably Jean Grey, or Dark Phoenix, depending on what, situation they want to go with there. And then they'll probably release another 3 or 4 X-Men, potentially. But this is what I wanted to go into. Not because of what the announcement here is, as much as what is the direction that Fantasy Flight wants to go with X-Men. And the reason why I question this so much is because X-Men is such a vast, there's so much that you can cover with just X-Men alone. Because I know that Marvel in general is a huge universe of heroes, of villains, of side characters. The list goes on and on of the amount of people that is in these that are in these universes that they made with these different comic book runs. But with X-Men, I wonder how deep that they're going to go with this. So I'm going to speculate on that a little bit. So if you've been paying attention to the cycle releases that they've had, the first 3 big box expansions that Marvel Champions have had so far. So you have the Rise of the Red Skull, Galaxy's Most Wanted, Mad Titan Shadow. Those 3 all fit within the Infinity Saga of that comic book run, where we've just experienced this with the MCU, where you have somebody like Thanos that's a huge threat to the universe, end up getting the power gauntlet, and madness wreaks, right? So he just wreak havoc on the universe, and the heroes have to come together to try to figure this thing out, right? So with that ending, they go into the Sinister Motives expansion box, which with the announcement of X-Men, we know that this is a 1 big box expansion cycle with an additional, I think it's 4 or 5 heroes now. So with Sinister Motives, they came out with Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, and then you had the Sinister Six throughout that whole box, and then they've been releasing Web Warriors since then, right? So we have Nova and Ironheart, who are champions technically, that aren't Web Warriors, but they're known for being around Miles and Gwen with thwarting evil. But then you have Spider Ham and Spider Suit that comes out as well. So we know that this, at least what it appears, is just this one and done cycle of Web Warriors / champions, and then they're moving on to Xmen. So what does this mean for Xmen? Well, we know that there's a lot of Xmen that exist. So will this be a multiple cycle road that Fantasy Flight is going with, where maybe we see another 2 big box expansions or more of X-Men, or are we just stuck with this particular cycle of X-Men? I don't know how the community is going to react. I think a lot of us are happy that we're at least getting X-Men, right? So we can get the speculation of going, because we have Jean Grey and Cyclops here, like, who are the next 2 to 3 heroes outside of them? And will they be released randomly? You know, because let's say they make a Defenders box after this one where you're playing as Daredevil and Punisher. You know, I'm going to keep promoting that as often as I can. But will we have, you know, Daredevil and Punisher have their box, and then maybe we get like a Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, and then maybe throw another X-Men in there? I don't know what that looks like. Or will we have a multiple story, you know, where we have Magneto be the, you know, the big bad guy in this one, and then the next cycle maybe it's Apocalypse, right? Like, is it going to be multiple cycles? And I think that this is worth mentioning because of this zealousness that the X-Men fans have for that particular cycle. You know, will we see more of the future X-Men characters like Cable coming through, or Bishop even, right? Like, there's so many different ways that they can go with this that it makes it extremely exciting. Or will they just feed us a couple more heroes and keep it moving? And maybe there's something, you know, with the MCU that's coming out that may be more appealing than X-Men. I highly doubt that. Or another comic run that was extremely successful that may come into play. I don't know how Fantasy Flight chooses to release certain heroes or villains, or what cycles that they want to go through, but I think that this calls for a lot of excitement. I think that this is a cause for a lot of conversation to go along on how we're choosing to view the X-Men right now with respect to the game. Are we going to see more X-Men outside of this particular cycle, or will it just be a one and done? I don't know. But if you think that, you know, let me know what you think on how far would they go with this. Maybe it's a matter of supply and demand. You know, if they can't keep X-Men content within the stores, you know, maybe it's worth continue, you know, riding that milk train, right? Or is it enough to just give us a taste of the X-Men and move on to another group, right? I don't know what that looks like in terms of what group can they establish more people with, right? So the only thing I got is the Defenders, Daredevil and Punisher. But, you know, if there's going to be more that they're looking to do, maybe they already have it mapped out, kind of like the Marvel phase, right? Or maybe they're just following this new MCU phase and just going to start bringing out people in that instance. So yeah, let me know your all's thoughts. I'd love to hear what you all have to think about this. If you got some insider information, you know, you don't have to leak it over here, but I'm curious on what you all think. Will we see more X-Men outside of this cycle? Because, you know, we have Phoenix and Cyclops here. We just saw, who was it, Magic and Wolverine. So I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that Wolverine is definitely going to be one of them, which will leave us with another 1 or 2, which my guess may be Gambit and Rogue, where you have 2 heroes that are related to each other in a sense, when in terms of them being together, but maybe releasing them in, you know, at the same time, kind of like they're doing Nova and Ironheart. But those are 2 of my guess, with Gambit, Rogue, maybe Beast, because I think that he'd be an intriguing one to make a hero set out of. But, you know, I think that there's a lot that that we have at our disposal right now, and it's all going to be speculation until more announcements come out. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Cyclops. He's top 3 X-Men for me. I love Cyclops, I love Cable, and I love Gambit. So I'm excited. I get one of the 3. To be honest with you, I'm extremely happy, but I would like to see more of the X-Men. You know, they, especially with the legality of their situations as of late, it's been a struggle trying to get more X-Men out there. But and it's cool to see them outside of, you know, Marvel versus Capcom and what's that other game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So it's nice to see them in something different and not the movies, right? We get to be them in some form, right? So I'm excited to see what's going on. But once again, it's Maurice. I'm here, you know, just giving some thoughts. I'll let you all be able to go through and see what's going on with these heroes and these villains and all the allies and all that good stuff. But yeah, let me know what you think, and hopefully you have a wonderful day, and may we get some Cable, and man, hopefully we'll be able to get Cable or Gambit, man. I'll be excited about that. But you all take it easy.